In the flow category, I want you to stop making banks and financial lending institutions rich.
Amen.
Stop giving them your money, okay? During this phase, as money starts to come in, I want you to be very, very clear on this. You can buy an asset and you can finance an asset because that could be considered good debt. If you're able to have a van payment for an after-school program that's, $700, but now that van allows you to pick up 14 kids, and if you're smart and you have a good, route, you can use that van at least twice a day, right, to do 2 different schools. That van can bring in a lot of money. So good debt in limited examples is okay. Bad debt is still not acceptable in the flow phase of this journey.
Nope.
We got to the point where we started making money and we started saving it.
Yes.
And I was sharing this with Super Chris a little bit earlier before the call. We had accrued medical debt, credit card debt, all these things. We had like a list of like 10 different places that we owed money. And I remember vividly making the final payoff to the last company. We had a list and we were just crossing them out. It took us a whole year. But finally, we paid off that last company and it hit me. I go, oh my gosh, all of this money that we were paying out to repay the debt starting next month, that money goes in our bank account.
Yeah.
That was a pretty amazing moment at that time for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's where it shifted. I want you guys to write down the term cash only. What I mean by cash only is that you're not financing anything ever again. During this rebuilding phase, if you need a vehicle for personal use, you better keep what you have until the wheels fall off, or you better pay it off before you buy anything new. And if you do decide to buy something that's a little bit newer or a little bit more reliable, save your money until you have the full amount. I'm going to share an example here. I'm going to pull this up. This is for a used car loan. All right. Hear me out on this. If you have a credit score of 700 or better, which, by the way, spoiler alert, when you get behind on your payments because you're climbing out of a hole, your credit's not going to be 700. It's going to be like in the 5s. So this is just an example here. So if you have a 700 credit score and you finance a vehicle currently right now for 5 years, the average APR that you're seeing from financial lending institutions, this is the average right now. You might be able to have a credit union locally that gives you a better deal. I get it, but this is the average. It's 12.79% APR. If you finance a used car for $50,000, you're going to end up paying an extra almost $19,000 by the time you pay off that vehicle. You're paying an extra $19,000 because you financed it. Or let's say that let's say that your credit is under 700. Let's say it's still pretty good. It's at 680. That same $50,000 car is going to cost you an extra $20,860 because you financed it. This is where we have to acknowledge pride versus presence. Like, you want to show up and look like you're the man, and believe me, I've been there. Like, when we were broke, that was the last thing that I wanted to let go of was the nice car, but you got to let go of it. Why pay that extra 20 grand? Why can't you take 20 grand and go buy a used Camry that's going to last you another 20 years.
Yeah. Just literally pay cash. And that's the thing to remember is when you're in the flow, right? The flow does not mean freedom. You're not in the clear yet, right? So it's so important that during this is you have to stay humble and you have to stay hungry. So you're not starving, but you still have to continue to press on and keep building and growing, and don't get stupid.
Now, Kevin has a great question. He said, okay, cool. What would credit be used for then if we're paying everything cash? We're going to get to that. That's going to be in the abundance phase, because when you don't need to borrow money is the best time to borrow money.
Yep.
All right, so hear us out on this.
Yes.
So let's go to a mortgage example. This blew my mind, right? Right now, if you guys would buy a $500,000 house and you're going to finance it for 30 years at the current interest rate of 6.81 APR based on yesterday's facts and figures. So here we go. $500,000 house. By the time that you're done paying it off in 30 years, you will have paid $1,173,600. $500,000 house just cost you almost $1.2 million. If you buy a house for $600,000, that's going to cost you $4 million. If you buy an $800,000 house for 30 years, that's going to cost you $1.8 million, almost $1.9 million. So we share this with you because we want you to kind of see the bigger perspective of what's about to come during the abundance phase when you can start paying off all of your debt. And that money that the bank normally would have made is the money you get to keep now for your wealth and for your kids and their children. All right, so let's keep moving on here. So in the flow phase, I remember that it started feeling good, right? We started feeling like we could breathe a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, the pressure is starting to kind of let up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like we have money to eat. We have money, like we're not falling behind on bills. Like we're starting to repair our credit during the flow phase. Things are starting to get a little bit more comfortable, but this is not the time to take your foot off that gas pedal. All right. And that's where a lot of people mess up.
Well, and what's interesting is when we found ourselves finally in the flow phase and not in the broke phase anymore, we already still had the habits that got us to the flow phase, and we just never stopped doing those habits. So we were still eating ramen and still living well below our means. And it was funny because when we finally like crossed over into the next phase, we're like, we don't have to keep living like this, but it was totally fine because it served us very well.
Yeah, we didn't take a vacation for like 12 years.
No vacations, no fancy dinners, no new nice clothes. Like we didn't do any of that stuff.
All right, so I want to share one more fact and figure, and then we're going to answer a couple questions before we keep moving on. So this is where the finance department loves to just mess people up, especially on cars. So you're going to have people that are like, cool, I want that BMW. I want that Mercedes. I want, whatever. I want that Corvette. But you can't afford it. But you can make the payments, but you can't afford it. You can't buy it cash. If you can't buy it cash, you can't afford it. So here's my thought on this. If you take a $75,000 car and you finance it for 5 years, all right, this is 14.78% interest. With a 680 credit score. I just want to give you guys some numbers here. This is absolutely nuts. For 5 years on a $75,000 car, you're going to end up paying a total of $106,290 by the time that it's paid off, which means you paid an extra $31,000 to finance that vehicle. You're going to have finance managers when you're sitting in the car dealership. They're going to go, you know what? I can help you get those monthly payments lower. Let's do a 6-year loan instead of a 5-year loan. And that's going to save you over $100 a month. Notice the words they use. It's going to save you over $100 a month. And a lot of people are like, awesome, if I can get the savings of $100 a month and spread out this loan for 6 years, even better. But here's the problem. Now that $75,000 Corvette, instead of it being $75,000, now it's $118,152, which means you paid an extra $43,000 in interest.
Is it really saving you? Is it really saving you?
I saved $100, but my interest just grew.
Yeah.
And the total payment just grew. So why do we share this with you? Because during the flow phase, we see people take their foot off the gas and they start buying things for themselves that they don't need.
Well, let's just clear the air here on this one. I get it. We went in the broke phase and into the flow phase, and you're like, oh, thank the Lord, I'm not there anymore. And then you're like, okay, I work so hard, I deserve these things. It's natural and normal to feel that way. So I'm just saying that because I don't want anybody to be on this and go, oh man, they're saying that I'm bad. You're not bad. You're not wrong. Like, it's normal behavior and thoughts to have. But what we are doing is we're shining a spotlight on it and going, hey, listen, I know that you're going to feel this way. Don't do it. Like, save yourself and don't do it.
Absolutely. This is where the Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover, his system really is helpful.
Yes.
This is where you start paying off they call it the debt snowball, right? You start paying off the lowest debts that you have and then taking that money that you were paying for those once they're paid off and rolling it into the next one and then paying that one off and then rolling that into the next one and paying that one off until finally you only have a couple things left and then you become debt free and then you have your house payment. So we're going to get to that in a second. But if you want to write in your notes, the Total Money Makeover, that is a fantastic book to check out. So as you guys do that, you're in that flow phase, I'm going to say for like 2 to 3 years. You're in the flow phase. Everything's going strong. You're focused on systems in your business. You're focused on growing. You are focused on doing only the activities that better your position. Everything's a choice. You're either growing or you're leaking.